Hello friends, I am going to give you directions via video to make your own ice dyed fabric. The pattern, the ice dyeing is what you're making, you're not making the fabric, just to be clear. I first wanted to tell you how I learned about this. While you can look up videos on how to ice dye and that might be helpful, it's even more helpful for me to meet someone who does it. So I wanted to tell you, I met this woman. She has a dog, so I met her at the dog park. She wrote this book and many other books, Linda Johansson. And this book doesn't tell you how to ice dye, but she described it to me and I got to go to her house and learn how to do some other kinds of dyeing. So this comes out of a nice local connection with a local celebrity, I would say, a local artist. So I will start by saying it's helpful if you have soda ash. I get this online and it's actually, this says it's for pools and hot tubs. Basically, it is cooked baking soda. So I first take a piece of fabric that I want to dye and put it in a sink or a basin with warm water and a half cup of soda ash. And that is going to make the color a lot more vibrant and stick to the fabric. The other thing that I use, based on what Linda, my mentor, taught me, Procyon dye. And I order this online too. I don't yet know where locally you can get this, but it's powdered dye and it's by the company Jacquard. I have learned that it is really true. You want to wear gloves when you're using the dye because if you're like me, your skin might be sensitive to the dye and it makes me get rashes on my hands because I don't like using gloves, so I try it without it, but you really do need gloves. So you soak the fabric for at least 20 minutes in soda ash. Then you take it out and wring it in the sink or the basin, but leave it wet. And then you crumple it up kind of in a loose mound on top of something that will catch the dye. I'm showing you my process here. I use my stainless steel sink and I have a dish rack. You could use a cookie sheet or cookie cooling rack, bread cooling rack, whatever works so that the water drips through. And I have two garments here. One is a gift for a friend and is linen, and the other one, I don't know what it's going to be yet, it's silk. So I have put ice cubes on top. That's the next step. After you put the fabric in a loose mound, you put ice cubes covering it. This has been a couple of hours, so it's already dripping through. And then you sprinkle the dye over, and I think I use at the most 2 tablespoons of this dye. Navy blue is particularly deep and dark. You'll see, when it runs through the fabric in this way, it leaves streaks of red and it almost looks purple. I love it. And it is cold water dye, so you just use cold water. So we leave this for up to 24 hours until the ice melts. That's what Linda says. Some of the YouTube videos you can watch say leave it for 24 hours and leave it covered with a plastic sheet to make sure it doesn't dry out. I haven't found that it needs the covered plastic over top. And when we do it in the Grove, in person, we're not going to cover it with plastic and we're just gonna let the ice melt. And so it might be an hour and a half or 2 hours that we leave our dyed fabric before rinsing it out. And that's the next step. It will be to rinse out the fabric and let it dry. You can even wash it in the washer on cold and dry it. and I have a beautiful garment to show you in the next little video. Hi again. I'm here to show you some garments that I have dyed over the last couple of months. I've been very busy dyeing things, so I'm learning a lot. One of the first garments I dyed was this linen top, and Linda has seen it and says, oh yes, that's wonderful. It's hard to see, but it is just beautiful. They're almost like flower shapes that you start to notice. Here is another one that I've dyed twice, once with green and yellow, and then I did blue more recently. Here's the front. I buy these things at Goodwill on garments that I think I would wear, and I have found that I love wearing the ice dyed fabric. One more is a cotton sheet I bought at Goodwill, and I am really happy with the way this looks. I used some red on this one, and aqua or turquoise and blue. This is where the colors really show up. And I don't know yet what I'm gonna make out of this, but it might be a blanket for someone. It's very comfortable cotton. So the fabrics that work well are cotton, rayon and silk, and linen. If you get a t-shirt and you want to dye it with us in person, it's good to know that it's 100% cotton. Maybe a little spandex is fine. But if you get polyester, it won't dye very well. Okay, I will be back when it's time to rinse out the fabric. Hi again, it's me, and I am ready to show you the last step of the ice dyeing project. The first step was to soak the garment in hot water and some washing soda. Then move it to the drain over the sink or over a plastic bin. Put the garment in a loose bundle, cover it with ice, sprinkle the dye over it, and now the last step will be to rinse out the garment until the water runs clear. So I'm going to show you two things, well, three. Number one is, this is why you need to wear gloves. Not only because of the coloring, which will go away soon, but because you might end up with rashes from the dye, which I do. And I told you that I don't like wearing gloves, but I'm gonna put them on now. The trouble with these was that they got some dye inside the gloves, and so when I put the gloves on, I got dye on my hands. So it's probably gonna happen again. All right, oof. There we go. And there's Pearl. She is always ready to help me. All right, I'm gonna rinse it out here. And what I like to do is squeeze it kind of from one end. So I'm gonna keep doing that until the water runs clear. But I'll give you a picture, my first picture of what this pattern might look like. And I'm gonna now let the water run for a minute. Pearl is looking for food. But I want to show you one of the other garment that I had here. Didn't go away for too long, but this is it's almost dry. This was the silk piece, and I like how it turned out. All right, I hope to see you at the Grove next week when we do this in person.